And then if they pass the retest, fine, move on. If they didn't pass the retest, there needs to be a meeting with parents, teachers, principals, and then look at all of the evidence, how well that student did all year long, and then make a decision what's best for the student, to stay at that grade level or to move on. Reading's a little more complicated because we don't have a reading test anymore. We have an English language arts test, which does, the English language arts test measures reading. So on your student's score report, I'm just going to, does this look familiar to some of you? Okay, so on your student's English language arts score report, right here, oh, I touched it, oh, help. Thank you. So right here, it'll say reading, on the English language arts page, where it says reading and vocabulary, if the performance, I started to feel like it's, if the performance is below grade level, in 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade, those are the students who will need to retest. If they pass, good. If they don't pass, have that parent meeting again. All right. So also, the end of course, the high school tests, they count as 20% of the student's final grade. So do we have any 8th grade students here? Parents of 8th grade students? So your 8th grade student's going to take that high school physical science test, if they take physical science. Then that grade that they get will be 20% of their final grade in physical science. Okay? Yes, it's new this year. And if you have students who take accelerated algebra, they'll take the Algebra 1 test, and then that will be 20% of their final grade. Those students who have physical science and Algebra 1, they don't have to take the math or the science part of the end of grade test. Whereas last year they did both. Okay? All right. And this is just the sample of the score report that you'll receive later after the school year. And it'll give you information about how well the student did in English language arts, math, science, and social studies. Then you have a separate page for each content area, which gives you a little bit more information about how well your student did in that particular content area. You must remember I started teaching 30 years ago, so a long time ago. The chalkboards and the chalk. So, we also use the Georgia Milestones results for teachers to reflect back on the year. How well did the teacher do? Are there areas where the teacher needs to work on for the following year? We also use the information that the teacher in the next grade level will look back and see, what does the student know? What don't they know? How can I provide some individualized instruction based on their state test results for the next year? Okay? And please know that this test is just one piece of information that we look at when making decisions about your child. We look at report cards, grades throughout the year, really everything for the whole school year to make decisions on your child. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so the test, there's multiple choice questions on English language arts, math, science, and social studies. There are short answer questions on math and English language arts where the student actually writes a response. There are extended constructive response questions in math and English language arts where they write, a larger answer, maybe a few sentences, explain an answer in math, how you got an answer. Then there's also an extended writing response in English language arts where they actually write an essay, appropriate for 3rd grade, appropriate for 5th or 8th grade. And we're looking at that as like a first draft, not a final product, okay? And then this year, there are going to be some field test items where a little bit different format, where the students may choose 2 or 3 answers instead of 1. But those field test items don't count towards the student score. We're just testing out the different types of items to be used in future tests. New as of last year, middle school students can use a calculator, a basic calculator in 6th grade, and in 7th and 8th, a basic or a scientific. If students are taking the test online, they can access the calculator from online, or this year they can have a handheld calculator. No calculators in elementary school. All right. And then in Algebra 1, and then of course tests in physical science, they can use calculators as well. We've made some changes from the test last year. Every student will have scratch paper, whether they're taking the test paper, pencil, or online, for every content area. All grades? All grades, yes. If you remember last year, we had some problems with question 59 and 60. Students mixed up where they were to write their answers. Some students wrote all over the pages. Some students put 59's question in 60 spot. So they cleaned up the structure of questions 59 and 60 to make it easier for students to know where to write their response.
And just to interject, that was only an issue on the paper pencil.
Right.
If the student took it online, they didn't have any problems.
Okay. They've made kind of the go on and the paper pencil test and online, those little go on arrows larger. They've made the sections over, stop signs larger.
Would questions 59, 60 be the same year after year?
It's not the same. It's the same. At this point, it's the same type of question. 59 is a short constructed response question,
Okay.
and then 60 is that extended writing piece.
Okay.
So some children wrote the short constructed response in the extended writing place.
Gotcha.
They scored everything, no matter where they wrote. They read everything. So, but they just made it a little bit cleaner this year. And we've already talked about students. We've already talked about that last bullet. Students who take this end of course test in 8th grade for physical science and Algebra 1 don't need to take the science and the math part of the end of grade test. Okay. The ultimate goal is that all students take this test online. And this year we have some students at all grade levels taking the test online, and some elementary schools, all of 4th grades taking the test online. Some middle schools, all of 8th grades taking the test online. The test window, you got a copy of the schedule of the test. It's 12 days long, but your student's only going to be testing 5 days. There'll be 2 days for math. Your student will test either day 1 or day 2. There'll be 2 days for science. They'll test either day 1 or day 2. Yes, sir.
How many schools test at the same time?
All schools test at the same time.
In Georgia?
In Forsyth County.
Oh, okay.
The state gives you a window, about 6 weeks, and then you pick a window for your system, and then everyone tests the same day, approximately the same time, depending on when your school starts.
Okay.
Yes.
Just from previous experience I've had, we had a school that did the same thing in the county, and they got overlogged, and they couldn't test. There was too
Well, that's why we have 2 days for each test session. And so we're telling the schools, all students paper pencil will test on day 1. Then half of the online students test day 1, the other half of the online students test day 2. That's our plan. We hope it's going to work. Yes.
All right, according to this, if I'm reading it correctly, the 3rd graders have already taken this. Is that correct?
No, it starts in April. April 14th.
Oh, this is April, not, okay, didn't say March.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Sure. No, the test starts April 14th, which is a Thursday. And We're gonna have students testing on Chromebooks, on notebooks, on laptops. All students testing online will have had multiple opportunities to practice testing online before they ever see that test. There's a public site which we're gonna play with in a little bit, and you can access that at home if your student's taking the test online. And then there's a secure practice site at the school level that your child will use, will have a practice session. It's just for them to get familiar with the platform, not the content for the course. Yeah, and there's no score with the practice tests. Students who test online have lots of online tools, which makes it very enticing to want to test online, if you will. If a test requires a formula sheet, or the science test requires a periodic table, you can access that right from online. Students can have a highlighter, and they can highlight when they're reading. Students can put sticky notes and take notes as they're reading. Students can flag a question. You read it, it's too difficult, you want to move on and come back to it, they can flag it. There's actually like a little blue line, oh goodness, sorry. A little blue line as students are reading, and it can kind of help them track, and they can pull the blue line down over the text. For the grades that can use a calculator, there's an online calculator. And then there's a cross-off tool, so if a student knows an answer is not right, it'll put a big red X on it.
Are they taught how to use those tools?
That's why, since we've had this public practice site, which we're going to look at now since October, and we have been reiterating again and again and again to the schools, students who are testing online must become familiar with this platform. So yes, they should be at the school. You can access it at home, and then they're all going to go through a practice test as well. So we have been very adamant that students must be familiar with the platform before they ever take the real test.
Is this the same one that went out on email to everybody? Is this the same test that had 13 questions?
If they've got like 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
Oh, okay, I thought it was 13.
10, 12, 13, it may. I don't know exactly of the number because you can choose different grade levels. So we're going to play with this a little bit. Nope, okay. Oh wait, we need to leave that up for them to log in. Sorry, go back. Okay. So here's the website if you want to so if we want to kind of help you, if you want to try it, right? You just click on, if there's Chrome, choose Chrome. If not, what do we have, iPads?
Alan, what do they click on? Is it
If not, choose Safari. To get to the internet,
Yes, go to Safari.
Safari?
go to Safari. It should work in Safari.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's got a little like an arrow on it right here. There you go. Okay. It looks like a compass. So then, you could just type in this GA experience online and it should come up. Little, aren't they? Let me help you. That's quite all right. So this is the internet that we're going to. It goes right to YouTube. Not from this device.
It's end of grade,
There
right?
you go.
Yes. I was looking at how I was focusing.
Okay. So when we start, you're just going to press that. Okay? All right, you good?
Oh, mine. I think I forgot that part.
Yep, good. Okay. scroll up when we start.
Which one are you talking about?
There's
Well,
practice.
it's out there.
If you would just get to the page and then we'll kind of show you what to do.
Oh, you don't have, okay. Well, you can, we'll go on. You put in
When we're ready. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and show you, and then we'll come around if some of you still haven't gotten there.
Right. I just say try it again. Okay,
So you should come up with a screen like this, and then you'll see that there's a tutorial if you want to show this to your children, or if you want to listen to it again. It's about 7 minutes. But we're going to click on test practice.
Welcome to Experience Online Testing. Online testing. This training allows students to
Okay. Maybe my link to it.
Let's get started.
Who determines whether the children take it online or in person?
The schools. Students who have certain accommodations, like read aloud of test questions, since the test online has a reader built in, we encourage those students to take the test online. And then if your students in fourth grade at most elementary schools, they're all tested online. Cumming likes to test online here, so I would say a lot of your fourth graders are. And then eighth grade at some schools. I don't know why I can't get it to work. Let me try something.
We're on Georgia Experience Online.
So if you can get it, no, you're not there yet. So just click the practice or
Test practice.
yeah, click test practice and go around. Let me see. Let me get you.
But it says end of course or
End of grade. It really does. Click end of grade test. Sorry. There we go. I see it here. So you can just click test practice and play a little bit. And we'll come around and help you. No, I'm not. I'm just typing in start. Either or, doesn't matter. It's right there. It already gives you see the username. You can see that if not. Yeah.
it's asking for username and all that.
Yeah, and there's a password.
There's a login and password
See, it
right
says
there on
Georgia
that screen.
35 right above it, and the password's there.
No, experience.
And then password.
Yeah, and the password's right there. It's weird. Instead of just letting you go in, they're making you put in the password that they're giving you.
We're not getting the spot where you use the password.
Alright, still it online. What grade?
When your students are testing online, it'll already be set up for them.
Right above it?
Okay.
Yeah, scan.
Get used to it.
You gotta see rendering it. I know, this is great.
Yeah, well, it's just the devices.
Let's just go.
I'm not familiar with this device.
Yeah.
Yours is broken.
When you do practices, so your child can get on, so they can be comfortable and aware of
Parent asks if they can go
the test
to
is
its
doing.
learning to get practice.
To get to this?
Yes, username.
Only if the school put it there. I don't know if the schools put it there. I don't.
Right?
Todos la maestra.
There we go. Just keep going.
Is any, I can't go. Is yours? All right, work together. Is yours working? Okay, just keep clicking next till you get to a test. And, okay, you're working.
End of grade.
You're working.
What grade is your child in?
Just buddy up if yours isn't. All right, you got there. Good,
Oh,
good.
fourth and seventh. Okay, so you can do these grades.
And I think it's
Yeah.
got to be some
something with the device. Practice on it.
Yeah.
And then just choose whatever grade they're in.
No.
And then the test will come up for that grade level. Yes. I believe so. Susan, is there a time limit for the test online? Okay, now you're gonna put the password.
These are iPads, isn't it?
Username field.
Mini iPads. That may have something to do with it. It may be the device. Yeah. Let's,
Susan, is there a time limit for the test?
yeah.
Yes, there is a time limit.
But it's timed by the examiner, not by me. I think, is anybody working good?
Yeah,
They're all working. All right, but over here we can't. It could be something with the device. I know. It won't take so long. Once we click on that, it's not.
Yours?
Well, I'm just saying, it's like,
Oh, okay, we'll just do grades for you.
No.
Oh, no, here it is. All the tools are right up on top.
Username,
Yeah, but that's all.
35, password, trainings.
And he doesn't, then he.
You guys got it?
Calculator.
You're on.
Or.
You're on. That is what the children will take.
No, she said that you'll get scratching from, you can just work out the problems. They will and need. I think I'm doing
So what do you send on that? What can they add? The bag, how much?
to carry everything in. I just gotta carry the calculator.
Yes, continue.
I'm just gonna keep going until I get to the text.
Mine's fine, the passage.
I know. Mine is.
I think it's the mini iPads. It's glitching.
This is glitching.
Because of the device, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's not. Because it just is kind of freezing.
Have a seat.
Yeah, this is.
Computer lounge.
It doesn't matter. It's going to be.
Try again.
So, can you tell us this
Try 15.
I just that great. For the sake of time. How you doing, Steve? Is it? Yeah. And then to top of the pages, you just click either side. I wonder why it works here. Did you just go any further? No. All right.
I come up with a message to the administrator.
I don't know.
And that's why I'm not.
Right, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm reading the question, and to answer it, there's no, okay, it says, my husband works as well, every day, but every calendar, on which day is the day of the calendar.
All you do is make it all 5 pages.
It says you want to create, there's no button, there's no three. There's no instructions.
Well, see, that's why students. There's
Okay, I'm like, so.
there's teachers, examiners may use to help the kids with the practice test. So kids should be all comfortable and know this before they ever get to another course. The school, you could. Who's going to provide the computers for the test?
No, like at home, I'm trying my keys to going to the website. Can I set it up? ID password or that?
It'll always come up with a password. You just have to Google this website. It's a public site. Yeah. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of. Yes. Okay. I want to just point out a couple things. Let me get Zoe to translate for me. So, we're using the mini iPad. Okay, so we're using the mini iPads to try this. I don't think this practice test is compatible with mini iPads. At Otwell, Tuesday night, we used the regular iPads, and it all worked fine.
Yeah, you have to have a laptop.
Yeah. Students are going to be testing on laptops, desktops, or Chromebooks. The test will be all set up before they come and sit down. They won't go through this. Okay. If you didn't get a chance to experience it, try it at home. You can just type in your search browser, GA Experience Online.
And it's in this handout.
And it's in the handout.
Page.
All schools,
Cinco.
there you go. All schools will provide your student with the opportunity to become familiar with the platform before they test. Okay? Okay. Technology, you have to love it.
And our kids do.
And our kids do, true. Just a couple things that you can do at home to set the stage for a positive testing experience. Your children are going to feed off of your vibe. If you're positive, calm, relaxed about the test, they're going to be positive, calm, and relaxed. Talk about the state testing as a good experience for them to show what they know. When your child comes home each day, ask them how the test was. Listen, provide support if needed, and continue to be positive. Make sure that they get a good night's sleep each night, a good breakfast and a good lunch.
I'm sorry. Your name is Practice 35?
Whatever it says there is your
Okay.
yeah, whatever it says there. That's right. You know, when the student, the test can be mentally challenging. So when they come home from school each day, encourage physical activity. Go outside and play. We're going to show you a resource guide for you to use with your child to prepare for testing. And there are some resources on the Georgia Department of Education website that we're going to show you, share with you as well. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know if my link is going to work here. Let me try. Yes. Okay. For each. Sorry. Okay. The state has created a study resource guide for students and parents for each grade, 3 through 8, and then for each course for high school. It's 190 pages.
Don't print.
Don't print. There are some. Yeah, you want to scroll? Okay, yeah. Go to the table of contents. The table of contents will help you and guide you, okay? Page 4, how do you use this guide? There's an overview of the test, types of items on the test. Then there's a section for English Language Arts, for math, for science, and for social studies. At the end of each section, there are some sample items. Not a practice test, just sample items. Right, so if you don't do anything else on the 190 pages, go look at the sample items with your child. So they'll be comfortable and familiar with the structure and the way the questions will be presented. That alone will, I think, make them feel more comfortable about the test. Yes?
So is there any way that she prepare the school, or is there any answer there that they can?
No. Like for these questions, the answers will be there, but yeah, the answers will be there, and the explanation of the answer, yes, yes. But I thought you were thinking, is it like a little mini test?
Where is,
Let's
what
look at
site?
one.
What site is this at? Is this?
It's right here, Georgia Department of Education, and you follow that tree. Okay? The second to the last slide tells you how to get to the study guides. Okay. Okay, so this is an example of an English language arts item. And it's a multiple choice item. And then it gives you the correct answer. Let's find one that maybe is an instructive response. There's something to read, a passage. A little bit more difficult question. And then here's your next question. So an example of a constructive response question. And the rubric of the response. So students could score a 2, a 1, or a 0. And then these are the sample answers of what would be appropriate. And the last one is an example of that extended writing or that essay that the students will experience. It tells them a sample writing task, shows them that they would have a large enough space. On the paper pencil test, they'll have 4 pages for that extended writing response. Online, unlimited amount of space. And then there's an example of what they would be expecting from that grade level. So the students can even see an amount, which will help them. Okay. Yeah. So if nothing else, look at the sample items, look at the responses, and that will help your child be more comfortable with the testing. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Go back to the slide, if you can, to the PowerPoint. Okay. To get to this, okay, Georgia Department of Education website, and then you just have to click on offices and divisions, assessments, click on the Georgia Miles Assessment System, resources, and then the end of grade resources. Maybe someone here can post them in It's Learning for the Parents. Okay? Make it easier for you. You can have someone do that for you. And post the PowerPoint as well. That way you can click on the link and get right there. Okay. That's what we wanted to share with you today. Thank you for your patience during the technology glitches. It happens. Any other questions we can answer for you? All right. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day. Thanks. I'm going to run out to Liberty. Close down. Yeah. My jump drive. On my jump drive. All right. Okay. Bye.
They'll have a window, like what, 2-hour window?
Anywhere from
We did games.
60 to 75 minutes.
And this one 9, okay? Here, hang tight and I'll bring the whole country. I have it right here with me.
I just wrote down
The question was about time and how much time kids have to write, because we just looked through the ELA and it looks like it's very cumbersome. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna let her get her. So the writing looked like a lot, and it is a lot, but remember that we have 2 different days for testing ELA. English Language Arts on day 1 is the reading vocabulary and the grammar.
Dice que se ve como que es mucho lo que tienen que escribir, pero como tenemos 2 días, dice un día es el vocabulario, artes de lenguaje.
And they'll have some passages to read in that day 1 and answer questions about it. But the big long question where they have to write a lot, that's day 2. And they solely are reading 2 passages, comparing them, and writing their response. They might have 1 or 2 multiple choice questions, but then the majority of the time, that's 75 to 90 minutes in both days.
Sí, sí, es de 75 a 90 minutos los 2 días, así es que va a haber bastante. Y los 2 días por eso es que hay bastantes hojas, ¿ve? Así es que por eso lo necesitas. Que no se alarguen sus estudiantes.
Last year it took so long to get test results back. How long do you anticipate it will be this year?
I'm sorry, Mom was asking, did I understand correctly, all 4th graders are testing online?
Depends on the school.
Depende de aquí de la escuela. Sí.
Ask it.
It's already, I mean, it's becoming doing it online.
We're doing some online.
Some.
Paper and pencil.
Fourth grade is online. All
Fourth
online.
grade?
4th grade's all
Todos
online.
los de cuarto es por internet. And 3rd grade?
Thank you.
Half
It
and half.
depends. Well, it depends on the school. I can't answer
Si ella no les
because
puede contestar porque depende de la escuela. I know I have that paper in my office, not with me.
so the next question, remind me.
The question is last year test results came in so late in the year. How do you anticipate, will we get them shorter?
Last year, the test results were very delayed because it was the first year of the test, and the state did not want to prematurely put out scores. So they held it and did a lot of standard setting and analysis of the results, and they purposely held results until October.
La mamá preguntó, el año pasado los resultados nos llegaron demasiado tarde. Si los míos hicieron la prueba en abril y los resultados no nos llegaron hasta octubre. Y como fue el primer año, ¿verdad? Por eso que tomó más tiempo, así es que este año aún no se sabe qué tan tarde nos vayan a entregar los resultados.
This year, when we send our results in, the state has 10 days to score English Language Arts and Math from the time they receive the
Este año,
results.
cuando la escuela mande los resultados, el Estado tiene 10 días para calificar lo que es lectura y matemáticas. 10
In
días.
science and math, in science and social studies, it's 5 days.
Y en ciencias sociales son 5 días para que califiquen las pruebas.
Because science and social studies are all multiple choice. I'm repeating what you said. What happens is, the 5 days and 10 days are determined by when they receive the student's response.
Esos 10 días y 5 días se determina cuando el departamento reciba las pruebas de las escuelas.
If they take it online,
Si lo hacen por internet, pues rápido,
it's there.
ya está ahí la calificación.
10 days from the time the kid finishes the test, that minute, 10 days starting the next day forward, they won't get their results. The
Claro,
system will start
la
getting
escuela no
results.
vamos a recibir los resultados.
If you're taking paper
Si lo
pencil,
hacen de papel y lápiz,
we have to send them all
tenemos que
together.
mandar todas las pruebas juntas.
So we have to wait till the 12-day window is over.
Esa ventanita de 12 días,
It takes us at the system level 3 days
el sistema ellos
at our
les da 3
warehouse
días
to gather all the materials
para
from every
recibir
school. We're
todos
talking
los
60 to
materiales de todas
70,000
las escuelas.
pieces of
60,
material.
70,000.
Then we send it.
Después lo enviamos.
So it's 10 days from, it'll be approximately May 5th, 10 days to May 5th.
5 de mayo,
May
10 días
6th.
después de ahí.
So it won't be till then. And then when we get results, it will be electronic
Cuando nos
results
den
to
los
us.
resultados, van a ser resultados electrónicos.
Our plan now is they won't send a paper report.
Pues el plan ahorita no va a ser de que nos
Until
van a mandar
summertime.
nada en papel.
However, we're going to post results into Infinite Campus by the end of May, first week of June. So you'll have access to them.
So if a child has to retake the
The
test,
school will know that in the beginning of May, middle of May, and they'll contact parents specifically.
so will there be review sessions and stuff and another date set up for students to retake that section of the test?
So what happens with that, and talking about remediation, if a student is not performing over the course of the grade, a teacher is aware of that and is working to remediate that student along. We also have common assessments and we have interim assessments that the schools are giving, so that by February, March, they have a very good idea of what pool of children need additional support. So those children will be pulled most likely during the entire month of May after testing is over, regardless of whether the teacher knows that the child has not passed the test or not, to receive remediation, just to prepare them for the next grade. Once the school gets results, that pool of kids that was getting remediation will now come to a smaller group, and that group of kids